Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about how every country in the world got nuclear bombs. Before this, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell button, and also go through the entire video carefully. Today, there are many countries in the world that have nuclear bombs. There are 8 countries in the world that have nukes. These countries are USA, Russia, used to be Soviet Union, UK, France, China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, and Israel. It kind of has nuclear weapons, but we'll talk about it later. These are the main countries in the world that have nuclear bombs. However, these are not the only countries in the world that have nukes. In the past, there used to be so many countries which have nukes or that thought of making nukes but are not in the process of making nukes. Also, in the future, there may be countries that may have nukes, but it's okay. It all started with a certain Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was a Jew who lived in Europe. During that time, Jews were prosecuted across Europe by the Nazis. Einstein was a German who was a Jew, so he was also in the threat. Einstein was a scientist who did a lot of research on nuclear energy. After completing his research, he sent a letter to the then US President Franklin D. Roosevelt about the possible misuse of nuclear energy, which can result in a massive explosion that could kill many lives. The US was quick to react, and this had a huge advantage for them in building technology of their own and preventing the Nazis from developing a bomb of their own. Soon after Einstein's request for the US to develop bombs, the US, Canada, and Britain have funded the Manhattan Project to complete building a nuclear bomb. The US tested its first bomb in New Mexico and later dropped 2 nukes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, forcing the Empire of Japan to surrender. The US claims today that it has 6,185 nukes, declared after the US and USSR agreed to stop building nukes in the Cold War. Despite being a member of the Allies, it was not invited to the Manhattan Project. However, Soviet spies have collected information via espionage and collected some critical information about the Manhattan Project. And later, with the help of this information, the Soviet Union made and tested its first nuclear bomb in Semipalatinsk, Kazakhstan. After the Soviet Union collapsed, the Soviet nuclear arsenal was divided into the former Soviet states, with Russia getting the most, while Belarus, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan dismantled all the arsenal that they have got. Today, Russia claims that it has 6,500 bombs, being the largest arsenal in the world. It is declared after the US and the USSR agreed to stop building nukes after a treaty was signed. The UK also got bombs with the help of the Manhattan Project, as it was a member of the Manhattan Project, along with the US and Canada. So it's very simple, right? That the US, UK, and Canada shared all the information about the bomb. Well, yes, the UK got the critical information about building bombs, and it was also able to enrich uranium in South Africa and Australia, which has the largest uranium deposits in the British Empire. In Australia, it was agreed that Britain will test its first nuclear bomb. The UK wanted a separate foreign policy from the US, and under its leader, Clement Attlee, it did just that. It developed a separate foreign policy and decided to build nukes quickly. Most of its scientists have worked in the Manhattan Project, so therefore it was able to do it very quickly and tested its first bomb in Australia, codenamed Operation Hurricane. Later, Britain had 15 nuclear bombs, and today it claims to have 250 bombs. France was the fourth country to develop nuclear weapons. It had some scientists work for the British during the Manhattan Project. Later, France was liberated from Germany, and later it turned against the USSR in the Cold War. But then it started the Suez Crisis with Egypt. Therefore, it got little aid from the US for its nuclear program. Despite this, France, along with Israel, managed to complete and test its first bomb in Algeria. France claims today that it has 300 nukes approximately. After a clash with Taiwan in the Taiwan Straits, Mao Zedong, the then president of China, understood that for competition with the US, China needs nuclear bombs. China approached its ally, the Soviet Union, who shared some information for building the bomb. Meanwhile, there was a change in the Soviet regime after the death of Joseph Stalin, and they resisted from sharing complete information. Despite this, China managed to complete and test its first nuclear bomb in Loop No Test, Xinjiang. As of today, China claims to have 290 nukes. Before we move on, let's talk about the Non-Proliferation Treaty, because the next extra three countries or four countries have not signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and one also have withdrew. The world soon recognized the threat of nuclear war with the five major superpowers. So they introduced the Non-Proliferation Treaty. The goal of this treaty was to restrict any new country acquiring nuclear weapons. Also, the superpowers of the US and USSR will reduce their bombs and not increase more in a phase manner, and will not build any new bombs. And prior to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, five countries have already developed nukes. Almost all of the countries signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty except for three. Later, another country withdrew from the treaty. The three countries that did not sign the treaty are India, Pakistan, and Israel, while North Korea withdrew from the treaty, but they did sign it before they withdrew. APJ Abdul Kalam is widely viewed as the father of India's nuclear program. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was a pioneer in India's nuclear program. During the regime of Indira Gandhi, he led the research to build the nuclear power and nuclear bomb. He tested its first nuclear bomb under the code name Sleeping Buddha in Pokhran, Rajasthan. The Indians call this explosion a peaceful nuclear explosion because it's a nuclear explosion that did not do any more damage. As of today, India claims to have 140 nukes. Similar to APJ Abdul Kalam for India, Abdul Qadir Khan was widely viewed as the founder and father of Pakistan's nuclear weapons. Pakistani nuclear program was introduced due to the loss of India in the Second Indo-Pakistani War, and Bangladesh in the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. And with India's success in their nuclear program, Pakistan decided to do its own. And later, Abdul Qadir Khan sent it a network originating in Dubai, UAE, spreading information to Libya, Iran, and North Korea. Later today, Pakistan claims to have 150 nukes. A country that has withdrawn from the Non-Proliferation Treaty but has in fact signed it before it is North Korea. They did this because they wanted their nuclear power plants to be there and not get damaged. So therefore they signed it. However, they soon withdrew as their leader Kim Jong Un especially increased the testing of nuclear weapons and missiles. In 2017, North Korea tested a weapon at least 10 times more powerful than those used in 1945, indicating that North Korea in fact uses decisively highly destructive hydrogen bombs. Israel is a country that maintains a policy of deliberate ambiguity, never officially denying or admitting how having nuclear weapons. Instead of repeating over the years that Israel will not be the first country to introduce nuclear weapons in the Middle East, technically it had, and from satellite images like the one shown in a picture, we can see a nuclear reactor. Also, Israel got information from France and also sent information to South Africa, widely viewing that Israel has nuclear weapons. The Samson operation refers to Israel's deterrence strategy of massive retaliation with nuclear weapons. Is as as a last resort against a country whose military has invaded, invaded and or destroyed much of Israel. Before apartheid South Africa collapsed, it had many nukes. As we mentioned, Israel kind of gave the information to build nuclear bombs, and also communism in the north of South Africa was threatening its environment and backyard. So therefore, it built its own nukes. However, when apartheid South Africa collapsed, the African National Congress dismantled all nuclear bombs and becoming the first country in the world to officially dismantle its nukes. In the year 1991, the Soviet Union officially collapsed. However, it had the largest nuclear amount in the world. Therefore, it was divided between the Soviet states of Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine. Except Russia, all the other three countries have dismantled their nukes. Along with South Africa, these countries were the only four countries in the world that had nukes, but also dissolved them. I appreciate all the people's lucks of watching the video. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, click the bell button, and also provide your suggestions for the next video if you have. If you don't have a suggestion, well, then you can wait for my own suggestion video. That will be, can Turkey join the NATO or can leave NATO? Why is it part of NATO? I'll ask all that questions in the next video. This is my first PPT video, and onwards I'll make PPT videos. Thank you so much. Bye everybody. Click the channel button that's on the left and click the other videos that are on the right. Any of them.